Hello, everybody, and today I'm here to talk about a Batman show that I've recently finished. So, I'm here to discuss Batman the Brave and the Bold. So, this show is super nostalgic for me since this is the Batman show I definitely grew up watching. As you know, I did grow up watching the animated series a lot more as I watched it on the Hub Network, but even before, I definitely watched some of Batman the Brave and the Bold out on Cartoon Network. It was basically the premise of the show was completely different from other Batman shows. Batman teams up with a lesser known hero and he goes on some adventure against some crazy villain, and it feels like a love letter to the Silver Age of comic books back in the day. We got like old school Jay Garrick Flash, we see like the Justice Society. We see like very obscure characters like the Doom Patrol. We see Plastic Man. They give more representation for Aquaman. We see the original Blue Beetle, even the new Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes, and we got a bunch of references to like even Rainbow Batman of all characters. As you know, back in the old comics, Batman donned a rainbow outfit to fight Killer Moth, and that would trigger the chuds if it came out today, a rainbow Batman. It pretty much did. But of course, this show is honestly a pretty underrated Batman show. I did review The Batman with Little Blue, and I reviewed the show on my channel, of course, where that show was more trying to be like a modern take of Batman with a dark and gritty tone. But with this show, after The Batman got finished, they decided to go a more campy route with this show. There's just so much to talk about for this show. I'm not gonna like review the whole seasons. I probably will one day in the future, since I'd love to review these Batman shows since I'm already doing the animated series. So this Batman show, probably my favorite episode of the entire show was the Music Meister episode. So the Music Meister was played by Neil Patrick Harris, who is a dude that can mind control people by singing. And it's basically a musical episode. I definitely want to review that episode, but it's basically where Batman teams up with Black Canary, and the two fight the Music Meister, and we get a bunch of song numbers that I still listen to this very day. But we got usually the regular characters that would show up in this show. We would get an episode with Green Arrow, Aquaman, Plastic Man, Blue Beetle, Red Tornado. I'm just naming everybody on this poster. We'd also get some spotlight for Shazam. It would take till season 3 to finally show Superman and Wonder Woman. I thought that was really well done. They looked more like their Silver Age counterparts, of course. But probably the best thing about this entire show was the voice cast. We got a bunch of talented voice over people for this show. We got Diedrich Bader as Batman. Honestly, I do really like Diedrich Bader as Batman. He just has that deepness with the Batman voice mixed with the campiness, the silliness of Batman from like the 60s show. It doesn't really sound like Adam West, but it definitely has that dark and gritty tone with the voice that works really well with Batman. We got James Earl Taylor as Green Arrow. Yeah, he sounds really good as Green Arrow. He's using his regular voice to voice him. It just sounds spot on. Probably the best voice one is probably John DiMaggio as Aquaman. His voice just sounds perfect. He's just loving this role where Aquaman just really likes to fight crime. And there's even an episode where he literally goes on a vacation trip with his Mira and his son, and he just doesn't want to do this trip at all. He just wants to go fight crime with Batman. We got Tom Kenny as Plastic Man. We even see his origin where he used to be Kite Man. I did not really know that about the lore, but it was nice to learn a little bit more about Plastic Man. But probably the most memorable thing about this show for me was that there was a video game for this whole show that came out, I think 2010. It was like the earliest Batman game I played. Not a lot of people talk about that game because it was like a real easy game. It was meant for the kids, of course. But if you couldn't play the Arkham games as a kid, you can play Batman the Brave and the Bold video game or the Lego games. So the nostalgia level for this whole show was excellent for me. I actually really do like the Batman costume in this, the gray and blue. There's even a whole song dedicated to it, Gray and Blue. But there's like other elements of this show. We see like the Batmobile. I actually really do like the Batmobile. This is probably one of my favorite Batmobiles in animation. It's not as good as the animated series one where it looks like a giant limo. This one definitely looks like it was meant to be like for action figures. Since there were action figures for this show, I only had the Batman one, of course. I even remember collecting some of the McDonald's figures from the Happy Meals that they made with these toys. I thought that was really cool. But I'd definitely like to review the Batman Brave and the Bold video game soon, probably. But this show also gave us the Justice League International, which is like a more underrated aspect of the DC Universe, where we get more underrated, like obscure Justice Leaguers who join the team. Like we see Fire and Ice, Aquaman, the Green Lantern, but it's like the Guy Gardner version. We even see Batman Punch Guy, which is a reference to the comics, where Guy always has a bad attitude on the battlefield, but of course Batman just punches him to get some sense into him. But this show also had a pretty wild series finale, since this show only had 3 seasons. But the big thing about this show that did show up was Batmite, played by the legendary Paul Reubens. Unfortunately, he passed away not that long ago. But one of his best roles was Batmite, in my opinion. He just plays that crazy character who's able to do anything. He's Mr. Mxyzptlk for Batman. And they even show that character in the show as well. But of course, the finale is where Batmite tries to cancel the show by making it super bizarre, where Batman is now raising a family like in a sitcom. Aquaman's voice changes to some random sitcom star, and he rides like a scooter Batmobile, and he wears like this like fireproof suit, and he even changes into an ice climber suit. It's just meant to sell action figures, of course. But we even see like a Scrappy-Doo parody of Bat-Hound. If Bat-Hound had his own like Scrappy-Doo, it's kind of like they're basically making fun of Scooby-Doo, where the show basically, to save the ratings of the show, they brought on Scrappy-Doo. But of course, people didn't like Scrappy-Doo, so they're just poking fun at WB's past mistakes. So the Batman the Brave and the Bold definitely had a big legacy that would definitely impact the DC genre in animation. The show still holds up, in my opinion. The animation just looks really smooth, fun, and it had a bunch of great guest stars. I forgot to mention, we did see Adam West play Thomas Wayne, and we even see the return of the Catwoman. The Julie Garner, I think her name is, who played 60s Catwoman, played Martha Wayne. I thought that was perfect casting. We even see Kevin Conroy play the Spectre, and even the Czar&R Batman, and Mark Hamill as the Spectre. I could just tell who the voice cast is throughout this whole show, since they brought on so many good guests throughout this whole entire show. So I would definitely give Batman the Brave and the Bold, why not a 10 out of 10? It was definitely an underappreciated Batman show, because after this show, they did Beware the Batman, and that only lasted a season, and then we didn't get a Batman cartoon for a long time until Cape Crusader recently. But whenever you're looking for an underrated Batman show, definitely check out The Brave and the Bold for sure. So I definitely will review the show, like I said, one day. Maybe I can do something similar like from Batman, we can like review some episodes of the show. We can do like a top 5, or we can just rank the characters in this show. If since there's a whole cast of them in this entire show, since there is a lot to discuss for it. So yeah, for the honor of Legacy of the Dark Knight coming out, I thought it'd be a perfect time to review The Brave and the Bold. So and we're also going to get The Brave and the Bold for the DCU whenever we get a new Batman for that version of the DCU. So I'd definitely be on the lookout for that for sure. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.